there is one image there that shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off.
Not dark, black.
Black skin.
Really black. Yeah.
Were they tall?
Yes.
Very tall?
Yeah.
How tall? Do you know?
Well, they got up the doorway. I don't know how high that is, but...
Welcome to part 3 of the Science of Creation entitled Space, Matter and Time, the True Trinity and Triad of Nature. In the previous 2 webisodes, we have covered an introduction to carbon organic cosmology, beginning with excerpts from great carbon organic scholars of the past 100 years, who have worked to inform carbon organic tribes, families, and clans of their place in the scheme of creation as the original creative forces of the universe manifest in human form. The carbon organic tribes, families, and clans are the progenitors of life on this planet and many other planets within the boundless universes. We discussed this by introducing a multitude of beings found across the galaxy which have a metaphysical connection to this realm. In part 2, we addressed the science of creation and how we as carbon organic tribes, families, and clans view reality as a multitude of energies in varying densities, which was known as the Neteru, aka nature, and the 99 elements correspond with the 99 plus Neteru. We will explore this further within this webisode. We want our viewers to have a basic yet complete understanding of this universe and how it works, as this will dispel much of the problems we face as humanity when this knowledge is applied. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our content, as the Science of Creation series will take you in and beyond the stars, ending back with the inner journey that we must all take as carbon organic families, tribes and clans, and wider humanity in their myriad of hues in order to truly understand and manifest our position as Mother Earth guardians. Now let us begin by providing further insight in regard to the content from our previous webisode entitled The Neteru, True Guardians of the Galaxy. In that webisode, we showed that according to Afar-Inca, Ancient African, and Amur-Inca, Ancient American, cosmology, these guardians are symbolic of the 99 natural elements, principles, and base precepts of Mother Nature, which they are responsible for birthing, uncovering, and utilizing. Within these hierarchies of subatomic energies, we find what is referred to as Sekhem, which is associated with the energy that sustains all life. This Sekhem, which is a term used by the Ancient Tamareans or Kemites, erroneously referred to as Egyptians, was also known as Nafs by the ancient carbon organic Asiatic Chaldeans and Prana by those of the carbon organic Phoenician Hindu stock. It is said that the entire universe, from spirit to humanity to even a rock, is the product of one substance, and this substance is the primary and basic substance, out of which the heavens and the earth are made, as covered in our previous webisode. Within the plane of force, which is the second of 7 planes of existence which we will cover in later webisodes, there exists a vast reservoir of forces which control the forces that we refer to as nature, Neteru, thereby making them responsible for the many wonders and supernatural phenomenon of the physical plane. Sekhem is associated with the subtle healing energies and gives humanity in varying degrees of genetic potency, as well as other things in nature, the vitality and ability to grow and reproduce. We say this as there is difference within our genealogy as far as hemoglobin is concerned, and with this in mind, it is clear that this difference in each person's blood composition sets a genetic standard for each group of people, erroneously referred to as races. These Neteru, or nature, work through your genetic structure, being DNA, RNA, and chromosomes, hence a need for certain vitamins and minerals in the carbon organic diet. Remember, your physical body is a vehicle provided for you by your etheric ancestors in order for you to utilize and work your way back to the universal, galactic, and solar guardians, whilst returning back to your original state in this physical realm as an Earth guardian. For the sake of this series, we will refrain from using the term Egyptian, as this term in today's world corresponds to the invading hybrid albino stock who now have control of the region, now known as the Arab Republic of Egypt, which has nothing to do with the original Tamarian/Cometian carbon organic tribes, families, and clans which were dispersed across the world over time. The ancient carbon organic Tamarian word SM is the word for power. Sekhem, form, is also a part of the ancient Egyptian concept of the soul or spirit. Being a symbol of power or might, the Sekhem was frequently incorporated into various names. For example, that of the 3rd dynasty pharaoh Sekhem and the lioness goddess Sekhmet, whose name means she who is powerful. After the 3rd dynasty, the Sekhem appeared in the royal names of the pharaohs, and later in the titles of queens and princesses as well. When the king held a Sekhem scepter in his right hand, he would usually hold a mace or censer in the left. The Sekhem scepter is a type of ritual scepter in ancient Egypt. As a symbol of authority, it is often incorporated in names and words associated with power and control. The Sekhem scepter, symbolizing the powerful, is related to the Kerp scepter, symbolizing the controller, and the scepter, symbolizing the commander, which are all represented with the same hieroglyphic symbol. From the earliest times, viziers and other officials of important rank held the Sekhem, symbolizing the individual's successful life and prestigious position. Such officials were often portrayed holding the scepter in the course of performing their duties. If they held the scepter in their right hand, they would usually hold a staff in the left hand. The classic Egyptian funerary statue depicted the deceased with a staff in one hand and the Sekhem in the other. As a scepter of office, a pair of eyes were carved on the upper part of the staff. The subtle subatomic energy referred to as Sekhem exists in every atom within creation. Sekhem harmonizes the entire life process of all that exists as a part of nature because Sekhem is constantly pulsating in rhythmic pattern, whereby in nature this harmonization is called seasons as the basis, or mother of matter is nature originally called Neteru and is a result of the realm of force which is governed by beings called the Neteru. In the previous webisode, we introduced the principles of the carbon organic deity Nun, representing the chaotic waters or neutron soup, and Atum or the atom being the organizing factor within the neutron soup, which gives birth to the physical realm or the realm of full spectrum light, which is light that covers the electromagnetic spectrum from infrared to near ultraviolet, or all wavelengths that are useful to plant or animal life. Light is defined by wavelengths, which is the measure of the distance from one peak or top of a wave of light or energy to another. Cosmic rays being the shortest and the longest being electric power. Between the two are gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet rays, infrared light rays, microwaves, electromagnetic waves, television waves, radio waves, and finally the visible light spectrum. When you see full spectrum light in its physical state, it manifests as blackness, and the manifestation of the solid form of light is known as melanin. The original woolly-haired carbon organic families, tribes, and clans personified by way of sound and electric energy. When energy beings manifest, atoms, they make up atoms, which then become compounds and elements, as opposed to physical beings, atoms, who manifest and make up cells, which becomes organisms and bodies. In order to birth order out of chaos, the ancient carbon organic guardians taught that there must be necessary balancement in all things, thus not being order which exists between attribute, element, and the guardian Neteru, who uncovered, manifested, and embodied their principles. This comes from the Ancient Tamareans scientific precept, which deals with the use of the base elements that we call the law of Triads. This law of Triads, founded by the carbon organic tribes, families, and clans thousands of years ago, predates the Western law of Triads, founded in 1829 AD. The development of the periodic table used in Western academia begins with German chemist Johann Dobereiner, 1780 to 1849, who grouped elements based on similarities. In 1829, Dobereiner proposed the law of triads. Middle element in the triad had atomic weight that was the average of the other two members. Soon other scientists found chemical relationships extended beyond triads. Dobereiner's classification scheme was improved and perfected by Mendeleev. The ancient carbon organic law denotes that many elements, groups, or compounds exist in triads of three. You must also be informed that there is also a triad of creation being. 1. Primary creation, from primus meaning first. Before the lightest atom, hydrogen, energies existed, a form of energy existing in the form of gases, 9 levels of them from quarks to biaps to Z/zeals, referred to as subatomic energy. Before weight, or the sum of any weight, regeristing as nothingness yet existing, being lighter than the first form of existence, hydrogen. 2. Secondary or evolutionary creation, the evolving of existence from density to matter to atoms to cells to organisms and bodies. 3. tertiary creation or gestational creation, the breath of life, the living soul, the existing conscious being. Furthermore, amongst ancient African Tamarian culture, there was a triad in each state, Sepet or Nome, which all come from the original triad, where the position of Atum Re, the middle, was the holder or balancement between point Atum Re and point Amun Re, simply the scales of Mot. This triad of Re was birthed out of the triad of existences. The original triad of Re consisted of Atum Re, Atum Re, and Amun Re, and symbolized the triple darkness of all atoms with their potential energy, chemical energy or cellular energy, as well as the three types of cosmic rays, which are ultraviolet rays, gamma rays, and X-rays, which when they manifest in cellular as well as chemical energy are logged as proton, neutron, and electron. Atum Re is associated with the color violet as in ultraviolet rays. Atum Re is the high point of the sun, thus gamma rays, which is the most energetic wavelength, and Amun Re meaning the hidden one. Just as X means unknown or hidden as in X-rays. The true trinity comes about by three sets of three, known as triple darkness. These subtle energies were recognized by the ancient African Tamarian culture as a part of the greater and true trinity, being all space, all matter, and all time, because these three states of existence comprise, constitute, and generate everything within existence. The first set, before light, before energy, before matter, equals all space. The second set, before time, before space, before place, equals all time. The third set, before body, before soul, before spirit, equals all matter. Eternal, infinite nature is three major existences. One being the existence of space, two, the existence of matter, and thirdly, the existence of time, and these three most major beings are inseparable, because one cannot exist without the other, and the three are one. These three powers of absolute nature are in inseparable unity with each other. Absolute nature is all persons, all places, and all things in past, present, and future. Space cannot exist without matter, because it has never existed without matter and never will exist without matter, and if there were no matter ever, there would never be any consciousness to know and announce that space exists. In other words, if there is no consciousness of the existence of a person, place, or thing, as far as knowing is concerned, that person, place, or thing does not exist. Space, the first member of the triad of existence, is vacuum and perfect, for it cannot change and cannot be changed, because it is nothingness. Space, infinite vacuum, is the unmoved mover, that is. It facilitates the movement of all by offering no resistance to the movement of matter and can attract matter by suction, plus the fact that space cannot move and cannot be moved. Infinite space is also the container of existence because it holds all, every person, place, and thing that exist. Space, eternal vacuum, holds all matter. Furthermore, eternal space is the path in which every person, place, and thing must travel, space at the path of all. Whereas absolute matter in the positive represents the matter perfection of persons and things in nature, absolute vacuum in the positive represents the space perfection of persons and things. Because vacuum is perfect, unchangeable, unmovable, and is blackness, and blackness is the only perfect and absolute color or color condition in nature, for all other colors come out of black. Vacuum is the magic magnetic opposite of matter, and it hides matter and germinates it in the cover of darkness. Vacuum is hider of the hidden in nature like spent energies, sound, and thought. Vacuum is also magical and magnetic together with matter and time. Vacuum is the darkness of nature where physical light is absent, yet light hides in darkness. Vacuum is the germinator of matter, and the male factors in matter are the impregnator. According to the Annals of Nature Science, the word vacuum means empty and void of imperfections, and the word space is a variant of the word place. The purposes of space, vacuum, have already been given in the preceding information. The law of space, which is one of many laws of nature, states, infinite in all directions, eternal and absolute with matter and time, the first member of the existence triad of nature called unmoved space moves all, contains all, attracts all, provides place and path for all, balances all, perfects all, and does everything that blackness and vacuum can do as the magic magnetic and male opposite of matter, forever, the same way each time that conditions are the same, and by help of eternal matter. and eternal time in accord with the nature of nature. Space, who is infinite vacuum and endless blackness, is the opposite of matter, who is infinite somethingness and endless potency. Infinite nature exists on opposites, namely nothingness, immobile space, and somethingness, mobile matter. Matter cannot exist without space and time, the other members of the existence triad of nature. Almighty matter, the second member of the triad of existence, is infinite, eternal, and absolute like space, meaning together with space. But whereas space is unchangeable, matter is just the opposite and very much changeable. Matter can move and change and can be moved and also changed by other matter. Whereas space is perfect, matter is imperfect in the sense that it is changeable and variant, but perfect in its nature, meaning whatever matter does is always in line and in keeping with its laws and its nature, unless interfered with by persons or things who themselves are powers and forces of matter, and thereby just following the nature of nature on its tangents, that is, its deviations and variations of existence. Space is constant, but its opposite called matter is variant and movable and likewise changeable, yet both are one and inseparable. Space is the place of all and for all, and matter is the occupant. Space and matter are eternal, meaning they never had beginning and can never end. Like the word triad means a combination of three beings, the word matter means the combination of all beings and all being except space and time. And matter is a combination of space and time too as the one unique supreme being. Etymologically, the word matter means mass and other physical and material stuff. In nature science, matter is anything and everything that occupies space. Matter is everything and anything that one can see, hear, feel, also taste, or smell. In universe science, all kinds and all types of energy are matter too, although they might not have any measurable atomic weight. Energies are matter too, because energies are simply the active ingredients and parts of matter, and matter produces all energies that exist, have ever existed, and that will ever exist. One fact of the law of existence and nature is if it exists, it's nature. And nature, indeed, is space, matter, and time combined. The law of existence, which is the same as the law of nature, is the law of space, the law of matter, and the law of time, combined in such way that the meanings of the three are one law. Some people say, what about antimatter? Just remember this, antimatter itself is matter. Magic magnetic space is the unmoved mover of all, almighty matter is the prime mover of all, and endless time is the prime keeper of all. Matter is the prime mover in nature because brain newts, the elements that formulate brains, are the prime mover in matter. The law of existence and the law of nature are the same, because nature is all existence and existence is all nature. The purposes of the existence of matter are to take up the space and occupy the place, to fill the space, the vacuum of nature, to be the creator in nature by help of space and time, to be the second member of the existence triad of nature, to be the prime mover in nature, to be the almighty in nature together with space and time, to be the opposites in nature and of nature, to be all persons, places, and things in nature in unity with space and time, and be the magic and female opposite of the space of nature forever and ever. Therefore, the law of matter declares, infinite in all directions, eternal, absolute, and almighty, the second member of the existence triad of nature called matter did all that was ever done in the past, does all that is being done in the present, shall do all that will ever be done in the future, and be the magic and female opposite of the magnetic space of nature, forever, the same way each time that conditions are the same, by help of eternal space and eternal time in accord with the nature of nature. Brain newts, which we will explain in detail in the next webisode, are the prime mover, and that reason is the creator. Because brain newts and the energy reason are matter of the very same quality and are the creative parts of matter, remember, in nature science, the definition of matter is anything and everything that occupies space. Time, by definition, is the continuity of the existence of space and matter. Time is the third member of the existence triad of nature, as expressed in the principles of natural law. The purposes of the existence of time are to be the third member of the triad of existence, to be the duration measurer of all, to be the continuity of all, to be the everlasting preserver and prime keeper of space and matter, and be the eternity of nature. So, the law of time reads, infinite in all directions, eternal and absolute. The third member of the existence triad of nature, called time, provides continuity for nature, duration measurement for nature, is the endless preserver and prime keeper for nature and of nature, forever, the same way each time that conditions are the same, and so does in unity with eternal space and eternal matter in accord with the nature of nature. Nature is all and all is nature, and that is all there is. Time is as perfect as those it provides continuity of existence for being space and matter, since time is the continuation of both. Basically, as continuity of space, time is constant, but as continuity of matter, time is constant, variant, and changeable. In ancient times, the scientists of the carbon organic tribes, families, and clans philosophically identified all space, matter, and time with the sun, earth, and moon of our solar system, and personified them as Tar, Atum, and Tehuti, respectively, meaning in the order given. Time is indeed eternal, that is, it never had beginning and can never end, because space and matter never had beginning and, likewise, can never end. Space, matter, and time being absolute, of course, means unlimited or absolute with each other. The interactions of space, matter, and time read like this. According to wedding vows, when a man and woman become husband and wife, they also become one flesh, and by extension, one blood, too. The principles of the one supreme being are very similar, but even more binding and majestic in their application. Infinite absolute vacuum space is the male person of the existence triad of nature, and infinite absolute matter or mother is the female. And this noble couple is in an eternal marriage and embrace that enables both spouses to experience the creations and manifestations of all the other opposites in nature and the experiences and activities of all beings throughout infinite nature. The husband, magnetic vacuum, germinates the wife, magic matter, by supplying the space and also blackness needed in the germinating process. Needed are warmness, wetness, darkness, and suitable matter according to time, space, and the laws of nature. The union of this royal couple, father vacuum and mother matter, produces countless offsprings like universe orbs, male and female, spirit beings, male and female, vegetation, male and female, flesh and blood beings, male and female, and all other beings, male, female, and neuter genders, of life by help of male and female factors in nature's matter. The laws of nature are the marriage vows of this majestic father and mother, and eternal absolute time is the royal preserver, keeper, everlasting continuity, and royal eternity of this lovingly noble couple of eternal embrace. Again, space, matter, and time are most eternal, never had beginning, and can never end, even if they wanted to. The African Creation Energy series of books best defines the term for magic that is used within this body of work. They have a great series of books we highly recommend in regard to this subject material. Magic is defined as the practice of producing a desired effects by techniques that enable humans to control forces of nature. The trinity of space, matter, and time can be explained within the field of science that is found in all other fields of science, and that is mathematics. Mathematics comes from ancient Greek mathema, meaning that which is learnt, what one gets to know, hence also study and science. Mathematics is a mental process of finding and figuring things out. Mathematics is the mental process of finding the answer to a question or the solution to a problem. The ability to replicate, model, manipulate, and control various aspects of nature using mathematics was known to the Ancient Tamareans / Afar-Incas, ancient Africans, as Hika, whom was also part of a triad system being Hika, Sia, and Hui. According to the sacred records of Tamari, Scroll 1, The Coming, Hika is the anthropomorphic personification of miracles, magic, and the manipulation of elements and chemicals of nature. Hika is one of two constant companions of Re, the other being Sia. Sia is the personification of perception, shape, form, and pattern who work together in Hui with Hika and makes the world of created things possible. So Hui, Hika, and Sia are another triad principle of godship, the Neteru, responsible for the constant and perpetual pattern of that which manifests and that which is created and made, and that tone or utterance is Om, the sound of this universe. Wikipedia defines Hika as the deification of magic and medicine in ancient Egypt. The name is the Egyptian word for magic. According to Egyptian literature, coffin text, spell 261, Heka existed before duality had yet come into being. The term was also used to refer to the practice of magical rituals. This hieroglyphic spelling includes the symbol for the word Ka, the ancient Egyptian concept of the vital force. Due to the importance placed onto names in ancient Egypt, Heka was often incorporated into personal names. Some examples include Hekaway, Hekaf, or simply Heka. The Old Kingdom pyramid texts depict Heka as a supernatural energy that the gods possess. By the time of the coffin texts, Heka is said to have been created at the beginning of time by the creator Atum, sometimes also being personified as the creator god, presented as a man or child and in some imagery holding two snakes. Heka is also said to be one of the three facets of the creator along with Sia and Hu. As Egyptologist Ogden Golet, 1994, explains, magic in the Book of the Dead is problematic. The text uses various words corresponding to magic, for the Egyptians thought magic was a legitimate belief. As Golet explains, Heka magic is many things, but, above all, it has a close association with speech and the power of the word. In the realm of Egyptian magic, actions did not necessarily speak louder than words, they were often one and the same thing. Thought, deed, image, and power are theoretically united in the concept of Heka. It is clear that modern Egyptologists and the thieving hybrid albino YouTube content creators of ancient Egypt, as well as the fake hybrid albino pale Arab, invading colonizers of the region, have no true understanding of ancient African cosmology and continue to promote spookism in various forms upon carbon organic families, tribes, and clans, and wider humanity, who wish to elevate their consciousness in accordance to the Tamarean/ancient African scientific precepts and culture. Hika as a concept was used to represent the manipulation of the elements of nature defined as magic. The English words magic, mage, and magician come from the Latin term magus, through the Greek, which is from the Old Persian magus. The Old Persian magu is derived from the Proto-Indo-European maf meaning, be able. The Old Persian form seems to have permeated ancient Semitic languages as the Talmudic Hebrew magash, the Aramaic imgusha, magician, and the Chaldean magdim, wisdom and philosophy. From the 1st century BCE onwards, Syrian magusai gained notoriety as magicians and soothsayers who were those responsible for solving problems of their prevailing societies. The Greek historian Herodotus provided one of the earliest surviving accounts of the Persian magoi. Magic is the application of beliefs, rituals, or actions employed in the belief that they can manipulate natural or supernatural beings and forces. Within Western culture, magic has been linked to ideas of the other, foreignness, and primitivism, indicating that it is a powerful marker of cultural difference and likewise, a non-modern phenomenon. Remember, the term modern is simply used to modify reality. So, in a nutshell, the hybrid albino knows that true magic belongs to culturally different, foreign and primitive, meaning prime being first carbon organic tribes, families and clans as the original earth guardians, whom were the first indigenous engineers of the ancient and old worlds. Another great book we recommend is The Racialization of the Occult in 19th Century British Literature, Dark Magic from 1850 to 1900. This book focuses on the representation of the practitioner of the occult in mid to late 19th century British literature. The occult was a source of emotional support and scientific curiosity during this time of purposeful change, as in the Reformation, Renaissance, and Reconstruction taking place globally, which we will discuss in further series exclusive to the Archive of Nations. The occult also provided uncertainty because it seemed to offer answers to both spiritual and scientific questions through measurable, albeit unconventional means, due to the fact that the carbon organic tribes, families, and clans' practice of spirituality was very scientific in its nature, and their whole societies were founded on these spiritual scientific principles. The Moors, as many carbon organic tribes, families, and clans were referred as at the time, were heavily linked to the occult or hidden information, whether masked by Islam, Christianity, or Judaism, as that is all the occult means. However, the occult that was associated with the original carbon organic tribes, families, and clans was also viewed as a threat to the newly established hybrid albino British society, an assault on its newfound modification or modern values of lies, deceit, and sophistication, and a fundamental danger to the emerging hybrid albino scientific enterprise, which was in the process of transferring carbon organic Moorish/Tartarian industry into hybrid albino corporations, and the carbon organic history, narrative, and spiritual aspects of science had to be removed. By examining the ways in which the occult and its practitioners are represented in British novels from 1850 to 1900, this book traces the ways that the novels commented on, participated in, and contributed to the racialization of the occult that occurred throughout the 19th century in Britain. The representations of the occult characters in these novels interpreted and transmitted the social, political, economic, and scientific discourses about race in the 19th century to the reading public, as well as participating in the discourse surrounding race and the occult. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, hybrid albino Western intellectuals perceived the practice of magic to be a sign of a primitive mentality and also commonly attributed it to marginalized groups of people as they were in the process of Reformation, Renaissance, and reconstruction of the carbon organic tribes, families, and clans world narratives. The hybrid albino's use of magic, which is really Eurocentric knowledge as defined in the American Heritage Dictionary, 5th edition, as the art or practice of using charms, spells, or rituals to attempt to produce supernatural effects or control events in nature, and the exercise of sleight of hand or conjuring for entertainment. Well, the hybrid albino was and still does utilize spells as in words, doublespeak and legalese, or rituals that seem pleasing, i.e. the Olympic ceremonies, concerts, and performances, also by using sleight of hand or color of law as in the legal system, which is deception in order to manipulate events and people in nature, and ultimately control the carbon organic tribes, families, and clans as sons and daughters of the Neteru, or simply the true Earth Guardians, through primarily the entertainment industry. None knew this better than Aleister Crowley, 1875 to 1947, a British occultist who defined magic as the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will, adding a K to distinguish ceremonial or ritual magic from stage magic. According to African creation energy literature, magic is the practice of producing a desired effect or result by techniques that allow humans to control forces of nature. In modern terms, Hika and magic would be called engineering. Engineering is defined as the process of acquiring and applying scientific and mathematical knowledge to design and develop inventions that realize a desired objective. The etymology of the word engineer comes from the word ingen, meaning skill and cleverness, and also the word ingenium, meaning inborn qualities or talent, and gene, meaning to beget or produce. Given the etymology of the word engineer and the definition of the word engineer as someone who practices Hika or magic, the process of acquiring and applying scientific and mathematical knowledge for the purpose of producing a desired effect, it implies that this engineering ability is related to genes, genetics, or certain inborn qualities. It is also true that ancient Tamareans as carbon organic families, tribes, and clans viewed the ability to practice magic of Hika, engineering, with certain bloodlines and genetics, as we will discuss in further webisodes. Thus far within this webisode, we have covered the energy referred to as Sekhem by the ancient Tamarians. We went in depth with the law of triads, the elements and their grouping of triads, and an introduction to the main triad, which is 3 in 1 being space, matter, and time being absolute nature. We also touched on the 3 creations and the manifestation of magic known as Hika to the Egyptians, which is simply the practice of engineering, whether it be physical, social, biological, or mental forms of engineering, all conducted by the original tribes, families, and clans of this realm since time immemorial. We will conclude this informative webisode with how our ancestors venerated their knowledge of creation, and that the many temples and shrines were really schools or universities of learning in regard to the various elements. They represented both microcosmically and macrocosmically. This knowledge of the reality of the cosmos was replicated across ancient African Tamarian culture. The earliest known shrines appeared in prehistoric Egypt in the late 4th millennium BC, at sites such as Sais and Buto in Lower Egypt and Nekhen and Koptos in Upper Egypt. In our Fallacy of Greece and Rome series, we discussed the importance of science in the formation of Western civilization built on ancient African Tamarian precepts. Despite the impermanence of these early buildings, later Egyptian art continually reused and adapted elements from them, evoking the ancient shrines to suggest the eternal nature of the gods and their dwelling places. Egyptian temples were built for the official worship of the Neteru and in commemoration of the pharaohs in ancient Egypt and regions under Egyptian control. Temples were seen as houses for the Neteru or kings to whom they were dedicated. Within them, the ancient carbon organic Egyptians performed a variety of rituals, the central functions of Egyptian culture, giving offerings to the gods, reenacting their interactions through festivals, and warding off the forces of chaos. These rituals were seen as necessary for the gods to continue to uphold Ma'at, the divine order of the universe. Ancient Egyptian temples were meant as places for the Neteru to reside on earth. Indeed, the term the Egyptians most commonly used to describe the temple building, WTNR, means mansion or enclosure of a god. A divine presence in the temple linked the physical human and divine spiritual realms and allowed humans to interact with the god through ritual. These rituals, it was believed, sustained the god and allowed it to continue to play its proper role in nature. They were therefore a key part of the maintenance of Ma'at, the ideal order of nature and of human society in Egyptian belief. Maintaining Ma'at was the entire purpose of Tamarian culture, and it was the purpose of a temple as well. Because he was credited with divine power himself, he, Pharaoh, as a sacred king, was regarded as Egypt's representative to the gods and its most important upholder of Ma'at. Egyptian temples were replicas of this early universe with inner sanctuaries representing the primeval hill. As visitors moved from the outer courts, through the hypostyle hall and into the Holy of Holies, the floor level gradually rose while the ceilings became lower. It also became darker as the open-roofed courts and the hypostyle halls with their clerestory windows gave way to dark inner chambers with just one small light shaft in the inner chapel to illuminate the god's cult statue. This confined and shadowy atmosphere transported the visitors privileged enough to see the god and his home back to the very beginning of time, but just a few priests and Pharaoh himself could enter this Holy of Holies. Within this sacred model of space and time, a hypostyle hall mimicked a thicket of papyrus reeds that grew in the swampy edges of the primeval mound. We hope this webisode has been mentally edifying, and our next webisode will introduce further information on matter, which is composed of atoms which are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Electrons cannot be further divided as yet by physical beings. However, protons and neutrons are made of three even tinier particles called quarks. Quarks and electrons are actually more than just particles. They are in fact multi-dimensional entities called brains, which manifest themselves as tiny loops of string similar to strands of DNA. We look forward to exploring the brains when we explore the science of life and consciousness in future webisodes.